Hey guys, if you like my videos, please like and subscribe to my channel. I would really appreciate it, thanks. And also let me know where y'all are watching from and at what time. I'm curious. People always ask me, Jake, what's the scariest thing you've seen spelunking? I usually tell them bats or finding spiders the size of dinner plates. It's easier than explaining the truth. Easier than talking about the day my buddy Mike took a 20-foot drop into darkness and dragged me, kicking and screaming, into the weirdest nightmare of my life. We'd been working that new cave system out in Kentucky, a system so fresh it wasn't even on Google Maps yet. The local farmer who discovered it said it just opened up overnight, and he thought we'd be interested. Turns out that was an understatement. It started off routine enough. My usual crew, Mike, Rachel, Sarah, Dave, Alex, and yours truly, rigging ropes, checking harnesses, cracking dumb jokes. Mike was in rare form, mocking my neon orange helmet with gusto. Seriously, Jake, you trying to attract traffic down here? I just don't want you idiots losing me again, I shot back. Last time you forgot I was still in the cave, remember? Hey, we remembered, eventually, Mike laughed. Then, right as he leaned back to rappel down, Mike winked at Rachel. Watch how a real professional does it, he joked, bouncing theatrically. And that's precisely when the rope snapped. It happened fast. 1 second Mike was grinning, the next he was plunging into darkness. His scream echoed off the stone walls, and I swear my heart froze mid-beat. Mike! Rachel screamed, gripping my arm hard enough to bruise. I lunged forward, hands grasping for nothing but air. When the screaming stopped, silence swallowed everything whole. Dave's flashlight flickered down into the abyss, shaking like a drunk at last call. Finally, Mike's voice drifted up, distant but alive. I'm okay, he croaked weakly, but I think I landed on my pride. Relief flooded through us so hard that Rachel actually burst into tears, half laughing, half sobbing. Sarah scrambled to the edge, calling down instructions, but we all knew somebody had to go after him. Naturally, all eyes swung my way. Jake, Rachel said, eyes pleading, please. I sighed dramatically, tightening my harness. Fine, but I'm docking Mike's share of the beer. The rappel was shaky. My hands trembled as adrenaline surged. As I descended, the air grew colder, the blackness thicker. Soon the cave around me expanded, yawning open into a cavern we hadn't anticipated. My flashlight beam revealed strange shapes etched into the walls, featureless faces, mouths wide open in silent screams. Mike? I called cautiously. You still alive down here, buddy, or should we just have your funeral now? Over here, Mike groaned from deeper in, voice strained but managing sarcasm. Take your time, Jake. Enjoy the scenery. The cavern floor crunched beneath my boots, tiny white stones littering the ground like teeth. My beam finally found Mike, sprawled awkwardly beside something that stopped me dead. A crude stone altar, stacked high with smooth rocks, each carefully placed like offerings. Mike stared up, pale-faced and wide-eyed. Jake, he whispered, humor replaced by naked fear. Where the heck are we? And that's when I realized this cave wasn't on any map for a reason. Mike was shaken but remarkably intact, except for a sprained ankle and bruised ego. You're lucky, I said, inspecting his injury. Usually when ropes snap, people aren't around later to complain about it. I blame you and your helmet, Mike groaned, gingerly standing with my help. That ugly orange thing startled the rope into submission. We chuckled uneasily, but laughter felt oddly disrespectful down here. It echoed strangely off walls carved by someone or something a long time ago. By the time we made our way back up to the rest of the group, everyone was buzzing with questions. Rachel hugged Mike tightly enough to elicit another groan, this time louder. Easy, Rachel. He's already been traumatized enough by gravity, I joked, earning a glare mixed with relief. Did you guys see anything down there? Dave asked, a hint of curiosity glinting in his eyes. You mean besides Mike bouncing off cave rocks like a pinball? I said. Yeah, plenty. Some pretty creepy carvings down there. Maybe we stumbled on someone's secret clubhouse. Great, Sarah deadpanned, adjusting her pack nervously. If we get sacrificed by a cave cult, I'm blaming you, Jake. Noted, I smirked, hoping humor would mask the unease settling into my gut. Alex checked his handheld GPS, brow furrowing. Guys, this place isn't showing up anywhere. No caves charted here, nothing. Rachel squinted at him skeptically. What, you mean Google lied? Alex shrugged. Looks like it. I've got zilch. A silence settled over us, heavier than before. If Alex, our obsessive mapper, couldn't find this cave system, nobody knew it existed. That realization hung in the air like an unwelcome guest. Eventually, curiosity overtook caution. We agreed to explore cautiously, if only to gather enough data to put this bizarre place on a map. After all, that's what we did. Chart the unknown, uncover hidden pockets of the world. It was supposed to be exciting, but right then, excitement felt an awful lot like dread. We moved deeper, our flashlights slicing narrow paths through suffocating darkness. Each beam caught glimpses of ancient carvings, spirals, and odd geometric shapes. Mike hobbled behind, muttering creatively obscene things about his ankle. "Quit your whining," I said. "At least you didn't land head first." Mike grumbled, forcing a grin. "True, that helmet would have killed me." We stopped abruptly as the cavern opened up again, revealing a vast chamber. It was cathedral-like, impossibly huge. Carved stalactites loomed overhead, forming bizarre shapes reminiscent of monstrous, grasping hands. At the center, we discovered another altar, taller and more elaborately stacked with stones. "What is this?" Rachel whispered, awe mixed with unease. "Gift shops around the corner," I murmured sarcastically, feeling my humor fray at the edges. I moved closer, inspecting the structure. My stomach churned. The stones were arranged meticulously, deliberately. This wasn't random. Someone had placed each one with reverence. Alex leaned closer, his breath visible in the cold air. Who or what would build something like this down here? I glanced around, my pulse quickening. Someone who really doesn't want visitors. And I couldn't shake the feeling that we weren't alone anymore. Tension has a funny way of making you hyper-aware. Every sound, every shadow, took on a sinister edge as we stood around that stone altar, the air thick with unanswered questions. Dave snapped photos nervously, his flash illuminating ancient runes and carvings that might have been fascinating under less ominous circumstances. "Think this was some ancient worship site?" Dave asked, voice tight. "Probably," Mike said sarcastically. "Nothing says welcome like a creepy altar and carvings of screaming faces." I smirked despite the chill racing down my spine. "Bet it looks better in daylight. Maybe slap on some festive lights and a visitor's welcome sign?" Rachel shot me a look. "Jake, you're joking, but what if someone still uses this place?" "Then let's not be here when they show up," I said, sobering fast. "Alex, mark this spot and let's head back up. We've got enough pictures and bruises for today." Alex didn't reply. I swung around, flashlight piercing the darkness behind us. Alex. He was gone. "Great," Mike groaned, leaning heavily against the altar. "Now we're playing hide and seek." "Alex!" Rachel's voice cracked with alarm. Our calls echoed mockingly from the cavern walls, a grim choir answering our worry. Sarah pointed urgently toward a tight crack in the stone. "His flashlight's here!" The crack was barely wide enough for my hand. I knelt, peering inside, fighting rising panic. Alex's flashlight lay abandoned, beam flickering weakly, illuminating only a narrow crevice. Impossibly small, impossibly dark. "No way," Dave breathed, face pale. "No way he fit in there." I shook my head numbly, trying to rationalize. Maybe he dropped it. Maybe he's wandering around lost, swearing at his luck. A cold breeze drifted from the crack, chilling us into silence. Somewhere far inside, distant and faint, I thought I heard something whisper my name. I swallowed hard, convincing myself it was my imagination, just the cave playing tricks. Mike's voice cut sharply through my thoughts. "Jake, what do we do?" I took a shaky breath, trying to sound confident. "Stay together. We'll fan out a bit, but nobody leaves sight. Alex couldn't have gone far." I tried smiling, but the humor tasted sour. Besides, Alex has the car keys. We can't afford to lose him. As we moved cautiously through the oppressive darkness, I couldn't shake the feeling that the cave itself was watching us, patiently waiting to claim its next offering. There's a moment when fear turns to anger, when you get sick of jumping at shadows. I was right about there as we moved deeper into the cave, scanning every nook for Alex. "Alex!" Mike shouted again, voice strained. His limp had worsened, but he refused to slow down. I swear, if you're hiding as a prank, you're walking home. Rachel clung close to Sarah, whose expression suggested she regretted ever leaving med school for adventure. Dave lingered behind, snapping pictures obsessively. The walls, they're different, he muttered. These carvings weren't here before. Maybe the cave redecorates overnight, I joked bitterly. Keeps things fresh for the tourists. Sarah glared sharply. Not funny, Jake. Before I could respond, Rachel gasped, stopping abruptly. Did you hear that? We froze, holding our breath. I strained my ears, the silence heavy enough to crush stone. Then came the voice, thin, distant, but unmistakably clear. Rachel? Rachel's face drained of color. That's Alex? I shook my head urgently. Wait, something's wrong. Alex wouldn't sound so calm. Rachel pushed past me anyway, calling desperately. Alex, where are you? Sarah grabbed Rachel's arm, stopping her just in time. Rachel teetered on the edge of another narrow crack, one none of us had noticed before. Careful, Sarah shouted. Rachel jerked back, breathing rapidly. I leaned in cautiously, aiming my flashlight beam. Another impossibly narrow hole, smooth around the edges, disappearing deep into darkness. My stomach twisted. Dave laughed nervously. Okay, caves don't whisper names, right? Because that's horror movie stuff and I didn't sign up for that. Relax, it's probably echoes playing tricks, I lied, my pulse hammering loudly in my ears. Mike glared at me. Jake, caves echo sounds, not names. Before I could argue, the voice drifted again, this time clearly mine. Jake, a chill slid down my spine. My flashlight trembled as I stared at the hole, irrational fear clawing at my sanity. That's impossible, Rachel whispered, eyes wide with terror. I forced calm into my voice. Okay, no one else wanders off. We find Alex, we leave, we never come back. Mike grumbled sarcastically. I vote we move never coming back to the top of today's agenda. Nobody laughed. The humor felt thin, hollow, like a shield cracking under pressure. As we retreated from the crack, a terrifying thought struck me. Whatever was down here didn't just know our names. It wanted us to follow it, deeper and deeper into the black. Fear does strange things to people. Some freeze, others run. Me, I joke. But right then I was fresh out of clever comebacks. We moved forward slowly, our flashlights slicing weak beams through the oppressive dark. My ears strained for any sound, any whisper that might betray Alex's whereabouts. Mike limped painfully beside me, sweat glistening on his forehead. If I don't make it out, Jake, Mike muttered, trying for bravado. Tell my mom you were always the dumb one. I forced a laugh even though it felt wrong. Don't worry, I'll make you sound like Indiana Jones. Before Mike could retort, Sarah's scream pierced the cavern. We spun around, hearts racing. Sarah! Rachel shouted, rushing toward her. Sarah stood rigidly, pointing in terror. Her flashlight trembled, illuminating another crack in the cavern wall. A crack barely wide enough to slip a notebook through. But there, impossibly, fingers, Sarah's fingers, reached out desperately from inside, clawing at solid rock. I stumbled back, heart in my throat. Sarah stood frozen beside us, staring in horror at her own fingers protruding from that impossible space. What? How? Dave stammered, dropping his camera with a clatter. Before anyone could move, the fingers jerked violently, then vanished into the crack. A sickening crunch echoed, abruptly cut off. Sarah staggered, collapsing to her knees. That wasn't me, she whispered. It couldn't be me. Rachel sobbed, clutching Sarah tightly. Mike's breathing was ragged, my own pulse hammered painfully, logic abandoning me entirely. This cave, I whispered harshly, fighting panic, is messing with our heads. How? Dave asked, voice cracking. We all saw. I cut him off sharply. I don't know how, but caves don't swallow people through holes too small for rats. Mike winced, forcing himself to his feet. Then let's stop standing around and get the heck out of here. Rachel helped Sarah stand, tears streaking through dirt on her face. Jake, we can't leave Alex. Rachel, I said softly. If Alex is down here, he's already gone. The silence that followed felt like surrender. Dave picked up his shattered camera numbly, its screen flickering. I knew the images he'd captured would haunt him, haunt us, all our lives. As we retraced our steps, Mike whispered bitterly, I always wanted to be famous, Jake, but not like this. Relax, I murmured, unable to resist despite everything. Fame's overrated. Plus, with luck, nobody will believe a word we say. We stumbled onward, the cavern echoing softly behind us, as though laughing quietly at the joke it had played. We tried retracing our steps, but the cave felt different now. Passages twisted where I remembered straight lines. Stone carvings shifted subtly whenever my flashlight wavered. "Jake," Mike growled, breaking the oppressive silence. "Tell me you're lost without telling me you're lost." "Lost is relative," I shot back, forcing a confidence I didn't feel. "Right now, we're just aggressively exploring." Rachel tightened her grip on Sarah's arm. "Exploring? We're being herded." I couldn't argue. Every turn led us deeper, not out. The carvings now covered every surface, endless rows of featureless, staring faces, their empty mouths frozen in silent screams. Dave muttered unintelligibly, camera still in his trembling hand. We rounded another corner and Mike stopped abruptly, cursing under his breath. Ahead lay an enormous, cathedral-like chamber. Its ceiling soared high above, supported by columns of carved stone, spiraling like twisted bones. At its center stood an altar far grander and more grotesque than any we'd seen yet. "At least whoever built this had ambition," I muttered grimly. "Ambition or insanity?" Sarah whispered, staring transfixed at the altar. Stones were meticulously piled around it, arranged carefully, reverently. Fresh polished bones gleamed ominously under our lights. Mike chuckled darkly. "Lovely decor. Probably why they keep the lights off." Rachel shot him a glare, tears brimming. "This isn't funny." "No," Mike admitted softly, "but it's better than crying." I stepped forward cautiously, drawn to something carved prominently above the altar. A massive figure, indistinct but impossibly ancient. Tentacle-like appendages coiled menacingly, stretching outward to touch smaller figures. Humans bowing reverently or writhing in agony, it was impossible to tell. Dave finally spoke, voice shaking. "It wants sacrifices. That's what the cave is for, feeding whatever this thing is." Before I could respond, Sarah's flashlight flickered wildly and she gasped. "Did anyone else see it move?" Mike glanced warily around. "See what move?" Sarah pointed at the carving, breathing rapidly. "The tentacles, they moved, like they're alive." "Impossible," I said automatically, though my confidence wavered. I steadied myself. "This cave is messing with our minds. We're tired, scared, and seeing things." Mike snorted, half amused, half terrified. "That's reassuring, Jake." "Would you prefer the alternative?" I countered, gesturing toward the carving. "That it's real?" No one answered. Our silence was confession enough. We moved on hastily, but I could feel that enormous stone idol watching us, silent and hungry. My jokes couldn't shield me anymore. The cave was taking its toll. I was starting to wonder how many of us it planned to keep. There's an unspoken line between fear and panic. We crossed it sometime after the altar room. The tension was suffocating, each of us quietly unraveling in our own way. Mike's limp was worse. Rachel had stopped speaking entirely, and Sarah stared blankly at the darkness as we trudged on. Dave, however, had become something else entirely. He lingered behind us, mumbling constantly, eyes glassy. Every so often he'd snap another photo, the flash punctuating our grim march. It was getting on my nerves. "Dave, enough," I said sharply. "Save battery for the important stuff like, I don't know, escaping." He looked up slowly, eyes unfocused. "Can't you hear it, Jake? It's beautiful." "Sure," Mike grumbled sarcastically. "Voices in a creepy cave, what's not beautiful?" Dave ignored him, stepping closer, his breathing ragged. "It showed me things, Jake. We shouldn't leave." My pulse quickened, adrenaline surging. "Dave, you're scaring me, buddy. Let's keep moving." He smiled strangely, stepping closer. "It told me how to help." Without warning, Dave lunged at me, slamming me into the cavern wall. I hit hard, stars exploding in my vision. Mike shouted, grabbing at Dave, but Dave fought with a strength born of madness, clawing and biting like a feral animal. Rachel and Sarah screamed, backing away in terror, as Dave's teeth sank painfully into my shoulder. Pain jolted through me, mixing with disbelief. "Get him off me," I yelled desperately, twisting beneath his weight. Mike tackled him, wrenching Dave backward. They grappled wildly, illuminated by chaotic beams of scattered flashlights. Dave broke free, staggering away, face twisted with eerie calmness. "Dave, wait!" I shouted, clutching my bleeding shoulder. "Don't!" He paused at the edge of another narrow crevice, smiling serenely. "It's waiting for us, Jake. All of us." Then, impossibly, he dropped onto all fours, contorting himself into the crack. Bones cracked audibly, grotesquely, as his body disappeared inch by inch, dragged inward by something unseen. We stared in horrified silence. Mike sank to his knees, shaking violently. "What the heck just happened?" I slumped against the wall, dizzy from pain and shock. My humor was gone, replaced by a deep, sickening dread. The cave got to him. Rachel sobbed softly, clutching Sarah tightly. Sarah, numb and pale, stared blankly where Dave had vanished. Mike forced a bitter laugh. "Guess Dave really did find enlightenment. Lucky guy." Nobody responded. The cave had taken another of us, and I was starting to think it wouldn't stop until we were all devoured by its madness. 4 had become 3, and I wasn't liking our odds. We trudged forward numbly, a ragged group clinging together out of sheer desperation. Each turn led us deeper into the bowels of the cave system, and escape felt less real by the minute. Sarah was muttering to herself, eyes glazed over as Rachel tried to comfort her. Mike limped at my side, his breathing heavy. "Jake," he finally whispered, grimacing with each step, "if we get out of here, promise me you'll smack me if I ever suggest caving again." I forced a hollow smile. "Don't worry, I'll smack you just for fun." Ahead, our flashlights picked out shapes scattered across the cave floor. Rachel stopped abruptly, pointing. "Look." My stomach turned as the beams illuminated helmets, backpacks, scattered gear, all modern, all belonging to explorers who'd clearly come before us. "At least we know we weren't the first," Mike said grimly. "That makes it better, right?" "Not even a little," Rachel whispered. Sarah suddenly broke free from Rachel's grip, staggering forward. "We shouldn't be afraid," she said dreamily. "It's just calling us home." I caught her arm, heart racing. "Sarah, stay with us. We're leaving." She smiled distantly, shaking her head. "No, Jake, there's nothing to fear." Before I could respond, Rachel's light caught the wall, revealing an enormous carving, larger and more detailed than before. It depicted a gigantic, tentacled being beneath the earth, surrounded by tiny human figures kneeling in worship. "It's a god," Rachel murmured, voice trembling. "Something old, something sleeping." Sarah turned toward Rachel, eyes shining with madness. "Not sleeping, hungry." Without warning, Sarah bolted deeper into the chamber. Rachel screamed, lunging after her, but Sarah was faster, disappearing around a bend. We scrambled after them, desperation fueling each painful step. We rounded a corner, stopping short, horrified. Sarah stood calmly in front of another stone altar, this one impossibly ancient, its surface stained dark from countless offerings. She turned, smiling serenely. "It chose us," she whispered. "We can't disappoint it." Rachel reached out, pleading desperately. "Sarah, please, come back." Sarah shook her head sadly, eyes distant. Then, with terrifying certainty, she knelt and began crawling forward, pushing herself into another impossibly narrow hole beneath the altar. Rachel screamed again, rushing forward, but it was too late. Sarah vanished slowly, bones audibly cracking as the cave accepted another sacrifice. Mike stared blankly. "How many more does it want?" I took a deep, shaking breath, my voice barely above a whisper. "All of us." As we backed away, my gaze lingered on the carved idol above, and I swore I felt its cold, alien eyes watching, waiting patiently for its next meal. Mike, Rachel, and I stumbled away from the altar chamber, hearts hammering painfully. My shoulder throbbed, my mind spun, and my nerves felt stretched to breaking. Humor was long gone, replaced by raw dread. Rachel sobbed quietly, Mike moved with gritted determination, and my thoughts spiraled darkly. The cave was toying with us, peeling us apart layer by layer, savoring our fear. "We've been here before," Mike muttered suddenly, stopping cold. I flashed my beam around, heart sinking. He was right. We were back at the first stone altar, the same one where Mike had fallen. Only now the carvings had multiplied, sprawling grotesquely across every inch of rock. Rachel trembled violently. "It's looping us back. We're never getting out." I wanted to lie, to reassure her, but words stuck uselessly in my throat. Mike slumped against a stone, exhausted and pale. "Jake," he whispered weakly, "I don't think I'm making it." "Don't start," I snapped. "We're getting out, all of us." "Jake," Rachel's voice was soft, pleading, "you can't promise that anymore." Before I could answer, Rachel's eyes widened, staring beyond me. Turning slowly, dread flooding my veins, I saw another figure emerge from the shadows. It was Alex, pale, gaunt, eyes hollow as though drained of life. He stared blankly, voice a dry rasp. "It showed me everything," Alex murmured, stepping closer. "The truth beneath us. Something older than humanity, older than time." Mike groaned softly. "Why does the truth always suck?" Alex smiled vacantly. "Don't fight it. Accept the gift." He turned, shuffling toward the altar again. I lunged, grabbing his arm, but he shrugged me off effortlessly as though strength wasn't his own. Rachel clutched my sleeve. "Jake, let him go. It's not him anymore." Alex sank to his knees, whispering reverently. "Awake. Hungry, waiting." Then, like the others, he crawled toward another impossibly narrow crevice, bones cracking horribly as he squeezed into the darkness, willingly feeding whatever monstrous force lurked below. Mike stared, shaking his head numbly. "We're all going to end up like that, aren't we?" I swallowed hard, voice strained with forced confidence. "No, not us." But my conviction was fading fast. I glanced at the carvings again, tentacles stretching hungrily, worshippers willingly feeding the beast beneath, and understood with chilling clarity. This cave wasn't natural. It was built deliberately, a living temple housing something ancient, insatiable. And we weren't explorers, we were offerings. We ran, panic finally overwhelming reason. But deep down I already knew it was too late. The cave had us exactly where it wanted. We ran blind, flashlights swinging, boots skidding over loose gravel and slick stone. The walls blurred past, and somewhere behind us, I swore the cave breathed. It was subtle, but there. Stone exhaling a stale, warm breath that raised every hair on my neck. Mike gasped beside me. "Jake, I can't keep—" "No," I snapped, grabbing his arm and yanking him forward. "We're not stopping, not here." Rachel was ahead of us now, screaming back that she saw something, light maybe, a shimmer far in the distance. Hope flared inside me, sudden and wild. Behind us, stone cracked, loud, like bones breaking beneath something heavy. "Don't look back." I didn't. Mike did. He whimpered, and whatever he saw sapped the last of his strength. He stumbled, fell hard. "I'll hold it," he panted. "Go." I skidded to a stop. "Absolutely not." "Jake," he said, coughing blood, "this is the part where you be the stubborn hero and I buy us 10 seconds. That's the best trade you're getting." Before I could argue, he shoved a flare into my vest pocket and pulled the spare from his own. "Go." And then he turned and ran toward the sound, toward the thing, lighting the flare and screaming at the top of his lungs. I dragged Rachel forward as a roar filled the chamber behind us. Not wind, not rock, but something living, something older than language, older than thought. The cave trembled, the walls closed. Rachel and I sprinted until our lungs burned, and the blackness thinned around the edges, a beam of sunlight. The cave's mouth open, waiting. We exploded out of the hole like bullets, tumbling into the dirt and dead leaves and air that smelled like life. The entrance was still deceptively innocent, just a dark hole in a hill. Rachel was sobbing. I was screaming Mike's name, but no answer came. Weeks passed. The official story was exposure, hysteria, accidental falls. The authorities never found the bodies, only our gear and one blood-stained flare. I tried telling people what really happened. No one believed me. That cave doesn't show up on satellite images. It's like it knows how to hide. But I know the truth. I haven't been the same since. Sometimes I hear my name in the cracks between dream and waking. Sometimes I see faces in stone. Last week I packed up my gear again. And now I'm sitting at the cave's mouth. Because I can feel it. Still breathing, still hungry. And I don't know if I'm here to escape it or go back where I belong.